Into brute into
Greetings in the name of the Most High. Yes, well, when I say the Most High, what exactly do I mean? So I might as well kick this thing off with, let's define what I mean. If we go to Isaiah 45, 5 and 6, this is what I mean when I say the Most High. Okay? I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. And I'd say that was written with fairly good authority. There is one creator, and there are not lots of creators. You could say we're all creators, I suppose, but we're all under the limitation and the expansion of the mighty God, of the one mighty God, of the creator. And we are just all, whether we know it or not, whether we rebel against God, whether we say there is no God, whether we say there is, all of these opinions play into God's creation. All of them are part of the Lord's magnificent symphony that he is writing, good and evil. In fact, in Isaiah 45, if I'm to go a little further with it, there's some verses I don't want people to get confused, but some other things about God that you might not know. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight, and will break in pieces the gates of brass, and cut in sunder the bars of iron. And I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches in secret places, that thou mayest know that I, the Lord, which call me by thy name, am the God of Israel. I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God beside me. I girded thee, and thou hast not known me. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. I know. Now you understand. You see, many traditions would get angry with Yahweh theology, with Western theology, because they say it presented dualism. There is no dualism in that statement. There is no dualism. It's I'm the Lord, I'm the creator, and there is none else. And I'm the one that makes the way for you. When you look at my creation, let me get back to my vid. When you look at my creation, that alone is enough to understand, for you to understand there is a Lord, there is God, there is a creator, there is an almighty will, and nothing in this world, be it good or evil, be it satanic, be it godly, be it anywhere in between, nothing is outside God's will. Nothing is a mystery to God. Nothing is a surprise to the Lord. Not anything that has happened or will happen. Everything has been accounted for. Everything is just exactly as created. Everything is actually perfect. Even the need for us to make it perfect in our image, human, is also perfect as per the Lord. It's that intention is perfect, though we will not reach that goal. Yet that's a perfect intention. I'm the Lord. I make evil. I will give you wealth in secret places. That means I will give you wealth and there will be no question as to where it came from. You could also say, I will give you life when you should have died. I will make, I will break the bars of iron, where if I didn't break them, you would be a slave forever. I, the Lord, do all these things. I create the calamity and I create the solution. This is the spirit of Isaiah 45. It's been a very difficult chapter for many theologians. They say, well, God can't create evil. God can't stand next to sin. Sin is anathema from God. It's separate. And it's like, no, dude. Sorry, Mr. False Pastor. Nothing is separate from God. So you're wrong. And it's right there in the scriptures that you refuse to learn. You know, you might have read that verse 100,000 times, but you still haven't learned it because you must adhere to your position of authority. And even that is perfect according to the Lord. The people who want to lead Christians are themselves more fallen than the flock. Yes. I'd say that's a pretty normal, or if you will, almost axiomatic truth, meaning it's an implacable truth, a truth that is constant. Mhm. Yes. So, it's the good news is that no matter where you are on the scale, you could be totally evil, a liar, a thief, a murderer, an abuser. And still God is dealing with you. You are still you are still a creation. Nothing you have done is outside God's will. And nothing you will do is outside God's will. Well, God would wish that I didn't do that. Nothing that has happened is outside God's will. That may be a hard one to take. That requires a little growing up, but it's the only way to really be at peace when looking at the world. And it's the only way to have compassion. So when you see a murderer over there, it's like, oh, I would never talk to that. You know what I mean? There's that block that goes up. And then you realize that, when we were sinners, he loved us and pulled us out of the path to destruction. And so by pulling that murderer out of the path to destruction, God has saved his life and you're a witness. You going to turn away from that? Oh, that one's evil. Drop them. Okay. Oh, that one's evil. Drop them. Oh, that one's evil. Drop them. But I also understand God is also a God of vengeance. And so when you take vengeance, which you might take, it's perfectly in God's will. A higher path to take is the path of compassion, the path of Christ, but that also involves self-destruction. That, in other words, I will allow myself to be destroyed out of love for you. End the podcast. Okay, go learn that, and I'll be back. Well, I was just watching watching the series 1923, and highly recommended. I've really enjoyed. Taylor Sheridan is the main creator and writer, and I've just really enjoyed his writing. Fantastic, and there's some evil priests in there, that had the Indians captive, these Indian kids, and forcing them to be acculturated, and with the threat of violence from the nuns, where they would just whip them and beat them with hitting them with canes and rulers and all kinds of stuff, and just really being incredibly cruel. And eventually a couple of the Indian kids fight back and murder a couple of the nuns. And then it's like, oh no, we can't have that. And then they go on this sort of manhunt, and then they lose there too. And even that whole conflict, the thing that is so funny, and this is where I think the screenplay might have fallen a little bit short here, but I don't expect a Hollywood screenwriter to know everything about what we're talking about. So so it was like the priests and Christianity itself, even Scripture itself, is presented as evil. and as leading to becoming one of these awful, evil, judgmental assholes, who are wearing these priest outfits where you just want to basically hang them all, and that's actually a very valid point to take. After the indoctrination, people say, well, I'm going to church today. Well, good for fucking you, asshole. Why don't you go drown in there? Stick your head in the holy water and just call it a day. I mean, don't try to act pious around me. It doesn't work. Especially, drunken priests, you're not going to, you're drunk. You can't handle it. You can't handle the truth. You're there misleading everyone that you find, you mislead. And that goes for all these churches, all these organizations. And so the Indians were presented as like the one girl, when she was fighting back, she was saying, I am the land. It is the land that kills you. And then she killed the priest. I am the land. Identifying with the land as Mother Earth and the identification that we belong to the mother. And there is that point of view, but there's also the Great Spirit. You can find a direct parallel. And I think, you remember the late Red Elk? Remember him from years ago out there? Well, he drew a complete parallel between, Indian culture, Indian lore, and the Bible that was just like lined up point by point by point by point. So what are we arguing about? In other words, the Indian point of view, I am the land and I will kill you. I am the land and I honor the land and I honor the sacred rock and I honor the sacred tree and I'm superior to you. And you're the stupid priest that all is brute force. And that's an ugly thing. And then watching them clash. But my criticism of the screenplay goes in the drawing of these two components as, maybe this guy got burned in the church. Could be. I never went to a church I didn't get kicked out of. I've been kicked out of every church, but also you'd be very proud of me. I've been kicked out of all the ashrams as well. So church, ashram, I'm an expert at being kicked out of all religion. They can't tolerate me. And that's because I prophesy on occasion. And when anyone prophesies in your group, you may notice how uncomfortable that makes people, especially if it's accurate. Because there is no prophecy that is inaccurate. All prophecy is accurate. Right? And it's for the healing. It's for the healing of wounds. So this does not differ much from Indian lore at all, and in general. And yet the one-dimensionality of the screenplay in this 1923 series, and it is a mistake. It is the mistake made, in my opinion, has to do with just not having the writer not having the education to be able to, or putting the thought into it or the research to being able to present the good and bad in each thing. You know what I mean? Just as humans, there is no superior human group. The Indians are superior to, we should all bow down to the Indian. Or like liberals go, you see a black person, you need to bow down and give them all your money or whatever, And so, and look at the wonderful theology the Indians have. And look at this stupid old theology of these white men that are pouring concrete, and destroying the land, and have no respect for anything. And they are a curse and a blight. Well, okay, so the Indians are wrong completely, right? And totally racist, is presented that way. And then the white people are wrong and completely racist as well, as presented that way. But we like the Indians better because we're liberals, or we like the white men better because we're conservatives, or whatever it is. It's bullshit. And I'm just feeling now I'm really ready to take this on. I call bullshit. You're all wrong. Most everyone is wrong. Okay? All the time, too. Every fucking day. And don't you dare lecture me or your children about anything. Unless you have some personal experience or some wisdom, which apparently is in short supply. Today, it's just basically a hothead. It's just hotheads running around sniping at each other. And that's all it is. And it's being whipped up by politicians who have no answers for anybody. They're just fakes, thieves, liars, perverts. And so here we go around again. And we're going to get into some stuff today. The Epstein files and the fact that there are still a vast majority of people. I mean, I had to wait all the way until 2025 to release, a documentary about my testimony about how I became a writer and what my revelations were that ruined my life. Okay. I'm living proof that what's in your head can ruin your life. My thought process was clean, and the reaction of people was disgusting and dirty and perverted and sick. Okay? Society is perverted, sick, and dirty. And yeah, when I was a lot younger, of course, as a child, I wanted to burn it to the ground because I thought, well, this can't stand. It's based on, basically the whole thing runs on blackmail, pedophilia, and human trafficking and murder, i.e. wars, human sacrifice, cannibalism, whatever, all these things done in secret, with the secret blackmail going on, which is the whole subject of Epstein, runs the world, not your vote. And so what is that runs the world? That is Satan. So, I'm not, if I keep talking, I'm going to make you feel real fucking bad about wasting your life, which is what you've done. I'm going to make you feel really bad. I'm not going to build you up. I'm not going to build you up and say, keep going. You're on the right track. No, you're on the wrong track. And right now you're headed for zero. You're headed for total annihilation of yourself because you keep thinking that there is no such thing as what I just said. And when I came to the conclusion as a child, because of the reaction of my peers and others toward me for having certain thoughts, then I realized it was the entire world. And then we started, what really got me put in trouble was when I realized it's the guy at the 7-Eleven, the fire department chief, the cop on the beat, the house painter, the maid, the plumber, not just a few privileged executives who all day think about how they're going to fuck someone in the ass. So I'm orgasm over someone getting their throat cut or something, whatever kind of pervert thing there is. And all of that, on the face of it, if you have to get off on watching somebody suffer, that in your heart of hearts that's wrong, right? That your life is ruined, right? That you're ruined. Oh no, there's no real coming back from that. And you can't do it. Your little 12-step program can't do it. Your sobriety test won't do it. No, you're in a world of shit, my friend. And, it all comes down to how corrupt you are. Not the other guy, not your parents, not your colleagues, not your children, you. You're the one. You're responsible. And I am. I mean, we all are. So the good news in that is that the same God who made everything and made you want to rebel against God by proclaiming there is no God or whatever, so you can do what you want, is the same one that would save you. And the only way that you can give your life purpose and that your life can actually turn out to be something of value would be if God takes you. Because if he doesn't take you, you're going to die on the side of the road. And, you're going to be like a little fish gasping for air outside the pond, and the water is just 5 inches away, but you can't get to it. Gasping for water for your gills, dying, 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 dying. And the best you can hope for, besides worrying about stupid shit, like whether or not junior is going to graduate from college or something like that, something equally as ridiculous as that, which probably is putting a tax on your health anyway and does no good for anyone, is you're going to worry about your what people think about you. And I can, it's easy. Just go look in the mirror and say, I am a piece of shit. I am just shit. There's nothing to look at. I'm shit. There's nothing to look at here. I'm shit. And the only way that I can become someone, right? Remember the word belong, that you thought you belong when you joined the Beatles, little magical mystery tour, and you thought, and mom and dad were so happy. You remember that little jaunt into hell? Oh no, I don't know what you're talking about, Brother Z. That sounds really above my pay grade. I'm not sure what the hell you mean by things like that. Whoa, what does anyone mean? What does anything mean? Someone needs to hear this, and it's a matter of life and death. If I have to die today, that's fine. I'm ready. But you can't. You can't die today. Well, you could, but then I guess it would just be like kind of taking the dumpster down to the dump, right? Be sort of like it might be fine. You might leave, well, who knows? Who knows how insignificant you are after you die? I know this, if there's any money involved, all the kids will sue each other and the grandkids and everybody else till they get their fair share. And everyone will scream and yell and hate each other. And they'll go off into their hovels that they call life. And they'll think they're being so important because junior here is now, a big time blah, 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 and has flown the nest and has survived beautifully. No one survives on this planet. No one survives here. The only way you're putting food in your mouth and having any kind of sustenance is because of the mercy and grace of the Almighty. You don't have yourself to thank. You're not afraid of work, so you'll go dig a ditch if you have to feed your family. That's maybe laudable, but that's unfortunately not why you're breathing and eating. And until you figure that out, your life has not begun yet. So that's why I say, it's a pile of shit. All of our works fail. If it's us, then we may have a unique contribution, but it's ultimately going to fall short if it's not, given with the unction of the Lord. It's you've felt that, even if you don't know God, certain doors open. It looks like there's a path, and then God made that path for you. Even if you turn around and say there is no God and fuck everything, and I want to become a half lion, half man, or whatever. Even if you go that route, still you can't change the fact that God spewed out that time, opened that door, made that space, made those connections happen so that you could get on with your life. So that on the way, you might realize who's doing all this. It's not you. You know how lucky you are. Of course, there's really no such thing as luck. So that's a game of the devil. Well, the devil's real. God blesses you, and then the devil takes credit and then gets you to worship the devil. And you say, well, the devil gave me this. It's like, no, God gave you that. And but you decided that to give your thanks to the devil rather than God. So now God just simply laughs at you and how pathetic you are. And we could go on with this, but I don't want, it applies to us all. It applies to me equally as it does to you. I can talk tough to myself and take it. I guess maybe you can't, but I can. Lest I boast, lest I feel like I have something to boast about, which I don't, and you don't either. So I don't care who you are. You could be, Donald Trump running the world, and you've got nothing to boast about. The only boast that there is how God is moving the pieces on this chessboard, and how people are praying for various things here and there, and how God's responding in that relationship that's deepening with people because they have no other place to turn. And they just in the fit of it all, and the fact that they can't sleep and they have no peace and they feel very uneasy about everything and nothing seems to work out. And they know that all their friends are superficial. You have no friends, you know that, right? They're just around you because you've got similar things in common, or people, misery loves company, or they feel like they'll be able to make something off of you by having you around or being around your circle. And then your circle ends up being nothing because it was only based on materialism anyway. All you've got is what you came in here with, right? That's all we've got. We come in, how do we come in here? Alone. And you're going to go alone. And if you don't think you can go alone, then that would be a very good thing to start working on, you know, because really when you're alone, if you just let your mind become more sensitive and you just think about the Lord, or just, any kind of thing, it could just be in nature. And then you realize, oh, you're really not alone. That even you just being in nature, sitting on a park bench in solitary, God is with you and wants to interact with you, despite every effort to push away or to be politically correct or to not be an embarrassment. I like people that will proclaim faith. For example, and I forget the Eagles coach. Do you remember his name? I used to know all this following sports, but I haven't followed sports in years. But he was there giving praise to Jesus Christ right off the bat on the first interview after the Eagles won the game, and it was like, God, this is such a change from last year. And this guy was so kind of humble. I mean, he was getting celebrated as the best coach of the year, best everything, and the team loves him and all that. And you could see his heart. You could see that he had a vulnerability there. That he was completely open. Not guarded at all, and no guile in him. And so whatever happened, God must have changed him to be that vehicle. Now, the minute he says, "Boy, I'm humble," or "Gee, I'm vulnerable," or "I'm a great coach," then it all goes away. Then it all disappears, and that is something that we have to learn. It's not really a matter of learning it; it's a matter of looking up in the sky, and you see the moon there, and you say, "Well, that's the moon." And it's there and it's shimmering over the water, a beautiful bright moon. And that light is hitting me and lighting me up, not like the sun, but like the moon. And so I'm standing on the beach. The moonlight is shimmering on the water and hitting me in its reflection. And it's up in the sky. The stars are more dim around it because it's so bright. Okay. That's all it is. Instead of, there is no moon in the sky. The light is, I generated the light myself. And there is no ocean. That's a desert, or that's a parking lot. There is nothing going on. There is nothing that will move me and move my spirit in inviting me in to solve the mystery. And God will let you solve the mystery on your. I mean, one of the mysteries is Satan convincing the entire world that he does not exist, and that most Satanists don't believe in a God named Satan or anything. They believe in entities maybe, but they believe they themselves are really God, and they need to ascend and assume their rightful place as rulers of the universe. Um, um, they have such a long ways to go that I don't have the patience for people like that. Sorry. I mean, somebody that looks in the night sky and sees that it's limitless. The mystery is palpable, and they just like wrap it up with a nice bow and just say, that's mine. And I run this. This is my world. I'm like, okay, have your little world, be a little slave, walk around a slave from cradle to grave. And basically that would be my entire, I guess, my own group of peers my age and coming through teenage years and through all that, they all decided as teenagers, even though their parents may have been forceful, to join this mystery that is, Satan's earth. And they figured, well, so no one talks about it, so it's completely secret. My life hasn't changed at all. I'm the same guy. I still get to go to the ball game and all that. It's like, it's not this big, horrible thing that happened. It's just that I gave my life to the world system, to the collective, to the one true principle of earth. The only problem is that the one that runs the earth and has this system is beholden to the Almighty God and also created by. You see how you fall short? Yeah, but that works. Oh, well, it depends what your priorities are. Myself, I get very disturbed at the state of the world and consciousness, but I realize the mistake is that people remain ignorant. The mistake is that people, they won't admit what's right before their eyes because they're told in no uncertain terms in many ways and through examples of others that you talk out of school, you usually get whacked. You try to get out of this thing once you're in and you profited by it. You try to leave, they'll hunt you down. Don't join the mafia unless, if you can't handle being there forever. Will they get another chance the next life around? I don't know. Will God pull them out? God can pull you out of there, but will you trust him? And when you see people like, I hate to say it, but to me, even though I know, these pastors on TV, maybe their hearts were in the right place at the beginning, but when you see shit like that, and you see these priests in this Taylor Sheridan 1923 and how they're, basically all Christianity and all scripture is evil, which is basically what's being said. The missing scenes, of course, in 1923, I can correct the record. For Taylor, I would say you need another 3 pages that would show, that there's some good people taking care of people and helping and learning and teaching and living a life of Christ. And not everyone is some, psychopathic Nazi murderer priest, and just like not every Indian is this nice, nature loving, nature worshiping, child of innocent child of the earth that just wants peace, but is being, destroyed by these evil, stupid white men. I'd say that bias that you have, my friend, is potentially disastrous. If you think you've solved it, you haven't solved shit. You're like a one-dimensional comic book writer. Not even that. You're like a joke writer right there. And people tolerate it because they're used to the propaganda. Indians good, white men bad. They're used to that, so they accept it. But it just shows you have a undeveloped spirit. So, and I did enjoy the series. Other than that idea, I did like the action of the Indians killing the priest. I really enjoyed that. You know what I mean? But I had to fill in the blanks, and most people are too lazy to do that. So you're out there with this racist message or whatever, but you don't know that, so that's okay. For you to learn that, what are you like in your 50s now? Oh, maybe there'll be some tragedy that'll hit your life. Not that I want that, but sometimes that's what had happened to me to get me to stop and tell me, because I was fighting this shit without God, on my own in the beginning. Then it just led to being incarcerated, and nobody believed me. And even in my last hospital stay, it's led to them trying to pull shit in the middle of the night, and even try to kill me. So so I understand being afraid of the devil, because the devil is real, created by God. And all the characterization of tempting man into a life that seems normal. And everybody's in on it anyway. Nod, nod, wink, wink. Nothing to see here but us chickens. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And look, everybody's happy in the end. No, all the people are miserable in the end. The people are broken in the end. The people are destroyed in the end. The people are, the tale of Sodom and Gomorrah wasn't just about, because the Western man is so hung up about sex that that's the only thing he can focus on is a penis and an anus. And that just fascinates men to no end. They just can't get enough of that. But the real thing going on in Sodom and Gomorrah, the extreme wickedness, is the antichrist spirit, or the anti-God spirit, which is also taken over America pretty much, which basically states that anything of God must be destroyed. People of God, they need to be destroyed. They're all like that priest in Taylor Sheridan's whatever it was, his little history lesson. So no one's going to learn anything from that movie. I mean, from that series. And it's a lot of time we spend, and a lot of emotional jerking around, playing the heartstrings, and then, action, adventure, and all this. But really, if anything, it's basically it seems like a big shout from someone that totally embraces global warming and that white people are evil. And that's what it seems like it's coming from. So that's your feedback, Mr. Sheridan. And, I love Landman. It's not trying to, at least it's not trying to preach to me about anything. But this bias in 1923 is just like, God. It's like, can't you just be inquisitive, or just be a human being? Well, no, seriously, Tricia, we let everybody that's an influencer, that can run big series on NetFuck, and we let everybody just say what they want and have all this built-in, messaging. What does that do to the culture? It brainwashes them to accept, yeah, the Indians were cool. We're bad. In other words, the next one will be, I'm sure, the tragic trans story of innocent trans people just trying to get along in life, and these cruel conservatives that ruin their lives and how they wound up in a tragic violence and suicide. And those are already in the works. So when I look at that kind of thing, it got me to really drop out, which is what you guys want, right? People like me to drop out, people with any kind of gift to drop out, with spiritual gifts to drop out, because spiritual gifts impede upon your freedom to lie and call it truth. But yeah, I recommend the series. I don't disrecommend it just because of that bias. I'm just saying, if you watch it, please be aware that it's kind of like, when we watch the ridiculous propaganda movie Civil War. I mean, that was really just hackneyed shit. I mean, it was very poorly written and directed as well. And the only reason that guy even works is because he'll do shit like that. You know what I mean? I mean, would I do something like that if they came to me and said, "Here, this is what we want"? I couldn't do it, folks. I wouldn't. I'd like to think I wouldn't do it. That I would say, not only no, but hell no. I'm not your propagandist. I'm not going to just take a job, and there's too big a responsibility here to influence people, to put something on the big screen that encourages civil war because my limousine window doesn't work fast enough. You know what I mean? I really just can't go there. And and my criticism for anyone on the right is that we have these patriotic movies that show that, how wrong the other side is. We need war to defend ourselves, or we could lose the whole thing tomorrow. So, they make a case for constant war. And that's a bunch of shit. So I don't have no fucking home. And that's not what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about Epstein. I feel like having a cigarette. I know that's a weird thing. I haven't had a cigarette. I know my lungs. Probably the last thing I should do. But okay, so yesterday was a very difficult day. So you ready to transition out of this horrible talk I've done? Consider this to be the worst podcast I've ever done. It sucks. It stinks. I'm an idiot. I suck. I'm shit. I'm nothing. Okay, I'm nothing. Not to be listened to. Don't learn from me. Keep your own counsel and good luck, because you'll need something like luck, even if it doesn't exist. Good luck. And if I sound a bit angry, it's because my life was ruined by this situation. It was taken from me. So, I didn't burn down the city. I didn't go to the Beverly Hills Country Club and lock everyone inside and burn it to the ground like what's his name did in The Patriot, burning the church down. I didn't do it. I didn't kill my parents like the Menendez boys, although I was ready to. Fuck yeah. See, because they represented, a larger problem, not just, the 33-degree Masons, not just the whole world of Disney or the whole world of, of society, which is basically, and this is for my friends who think that, who secretly harbor a longing to be in society and, to be, I guess the ultimate in society would be British royalty. That would be the top of society. Listen, the bottom line here is that society sucks. And if you are a thinking person that is on the truth and you have some talent, they'll ruin you. If you'll prove to be a good little parrot and do what you're told, they might let you play around and maybe have, half struggle, half fun in your life, depending on how much you want to serve them. Right? And that involves sacrificing your children. Because if you don't give your children over to the devil, when they come of age, they will fucking kill you, or they'll ruin your business or ruin something. And so the only way you could do it is you'd have to have a relationship with the Almighty God through Jesus Christ. But since you won't even do that, then I suppose you'll join. If you do, you're done. That's it. Enjoy your life, but please don't complain. They're not going to let you slip through the cracks. There'll always be a job and a paycheck for you. You should be happy then. You'll still get 2 weeks in Hawaii or something, for your service of hurting other people, tattling on people that are trying to seek the truth. So in a nutshell, I've just explained the entire situation. Yesterday, Alex Jones called himself the greatest futurist in generations in terms of his predictions. He comes with the greatest futurist in generations. And some of us have been very accurate, but we get no credit for it, Some of us have hundreds and thousands of podcasts, but we get no listenership. Oh, not because what we say is not interesting. I know I'm interesting to listen to because I listen to myself once in a while, and I get drawn in. I know that I'll be okay today. You know why? Because blessed is he. This is scripture that they gave out before they had the cabinet meeting. They had a prayer, and the scripture they used was where did that come from? Let me get the right scripture. Okay, so, and here's the scripture, and I think this also applies to the nation. Okay, this is Psalm 33, 12. All right. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. They started off. And then, we can also say, the people that because these are the people that who know that God is the Lord, right? Who know that the nation belongs to the Lord. These are the people that God has chosen for his inheritance. So blessed are they, blessed is he whose God is the Lord. Because it means here that he was chosen. And the only chooser right now would be Jesus. So he's been chosen by Christ. And then once that happens, in terms of the path that is led, it's not up to the corrupt priests or pastors or any of the church system or any of that fake shit. It's between you and God as to where you go, what you do, who you talk to, how it unfolds within you. The only danger is if you feel dry and you don't feel motivated. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Psalm 33:12. That's a pretty good way to start out a cabinet meeting. And I'm sure there's, fake people in government. I'm sure, Trump is not a god. And I'm sure that, there's a bunch of criminals that have gone free. And I'm sure it's a fucked up situation in the United States from one end to the other. But there's a change going on. And at least someone is saying, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Blessed is the nation that acknowledges that there is a Lord. Damned is he who denies the existence of what made him. You could put it that way. If you want to look at it, when you break down scripture, there's a few ways to break it down. That's another way to break it down. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Cursed is the nation whose God is Satan. Does that make sense? And what curse means is there will be no nation, end of nation. Why do you think they want to, they're trying to make witchcraft the number one? The problem with the witches now is they're all crashing and burning. They're all dying of diabetes. I think this is because of arrogance, just extreme arrogance on their part, that we know better. And, all these wars are from Christians and the white man. And that's where the problem is. And it's really female supremacy and black supremacy and all that, and justifying every horror that you see. They would get to the point of dismembering every single human being that exists in order to save humanity. That's where that would go. So, cursed are they whose God, whose leaders are witches. And that's why in Leviticus it says, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, because if one is in positions of power, well, you can see what happens to the nation. So, and why would that be? Well, it's very complicated. I was raised in the environment of Satanists and witches. So, I mean, I know, unfortunately, and ouch, I know a lot about how they ruin lives and how they ruined my life and how they've ruined so many people. I could have had quite a life. But then again, would I have wanted that knowing what I know now? Fuck no. Fuck no. I feel like it's like Tony Montana. I got my word, I got my balls, I don't break them for anybody. And that's basically it, baby. No. Because you see, there's something that's deeper than the flood, deep inside. And, deeper than your heart. Deep as the spirit, or the idea of you existing. And there's something sacred about this. There's a sacred space within you. And that place knows. You don't, that's the spark, my friend. That's why people get targeted. Targeted individuals are targeted. Well, that's ramping up again, so we might as well talk about it. Gang stalking is back. It was running on a national level with, the FBI proclaiming all white people to be terrorists and all that. So that's targeting on a macro level. But it's also going on the micro level of going more underground with sex slavery, all sex trafficking. All these women have been targeted and abducted for that purpose. So targeting goes on. Also, the idea of ruining people's lives. You see the lies they tell about people, ruin people's reputation, make sure they can't work, make sure they can't do anything. It's a very, very destructive nation we're in. Highly destructive, with very fucking evil people that do nothing but walk around trying to ruin somebody else's life. And the reason that they can't help themselves is because they're so corrupt themselves. They thrive on your misery. They're parasites. They feed off your discomfort. They feed off your unhappiness. And yeah, they'll target you. I mean, it's not like it was back in the 90s where you had very elaborate, 10-on-1. Or in my case, I had the whole city of LA on me. And it's like, you're surprised to find you too, Brute. You too were one of them. What they used to call a perp, remember? You too are doing that? You two are spying on me and walking around in my house when I'm not there? Oh, fuck. And, what began in high school seems to have just continued year in and year out. And every time I tried to take my own life, all I could hear was little jackals laughing, thinking it was very funny. Enjoying with great enjoyment, any kind of thing. I mean, one of the enemies falls and has a tragic car accident and can't walk. It's like, yeah, serves you right. Hope they have to cut your legs off. So we're living in a fucking nightmare and It's just like we're living in a horror movie. That's the way I look at it. And and a horror movie that completely misunderstands God. Tries to make it into some kind of authoritarian Nazi like, um, horrible totalitarian institution, and that's basically there to breed perversion and abuse of the children who come in the youth groups. I think it's disgusting, but it's worldwide, and they'll tell you, don't say anything, just put up with it. Don't say anything, and you'll have a good life. Just shut up about it. So people did shut up. And many of these people are dead. They're so miserable, folks, because nobody calls them anymore. No one invites them to dinner. Nobody wants to talk to them. People ignore them, what they're saying, because they're older. And now they have to live with they have to sleep in the bed they made. You think any one of them would just give, their eye teeth or anything else to be able to go back and make a stand? You bet they would. What they don't realize is that they could do that right now with Jesus. That was provided. God basically killed himself for you. And the level of appreciation is the fact that, like you go to the Catholics and they're all busy worshiping Mary is just enough to make you throw up. It's all just so it's a joke, right? And yes, I said throw up. The idea of bringing in the whole goddess thing and the Gaia thing, because listen, when Napoleon marched, let me just give you, since you don't know history, let me give you one little example. When Napoleon marched to Russia, some of you know this story. Okay, all the men, how they go with their flags and their pictures of their leaders and all that, So there wasn't any of Jesus. It was all Mary. As they marched into their own death, they marched into their own slaughter for Mary. Anything for you, goddess. And I know the connection. Men love boys love their mothers. It's a very deep connection. And Mary is a mother of Jesus, the ultimate mother. And so there's that deep connection. And I suppose there's, I don't do that with angels. And oh God, I've got this relationship with this angel. It's great. But I'm sorry. If I've stepped on any toes, I don't apologize. No, it's stuff you need to learn. This is not, I'm not here just idly speaking. You need to learn this lesson about, false gods, about elevating Mary to that of goddess. If you're not doing that, that's fine. Everyone says they're not doing that. And then I see them doing that. So I don't know. So fuck you. I'm out. I won't go to your church. I won't be mind controlled by your drunken priest. I won't do it just so we can have a little, bagel and a cup of tea sitting around gossiping about the latest in town. I won't do it. I won't go there. I'll call out the corruption, especially when they start trafficking in children. And the latest thing, of course, is trafficking in migrants and then getting grants from the state, i.e., tax money, to pay for it, which they line their pockets with. Oh, I've seen that scam. Of course, I knew that was going on many years ago. So on to this Epstein thing. Okay, so yesterday, poor Pam Bondi, she's okay. Now that's someone that just doesn't really understand the way the world works. and she's getting a quick lesson and getting her fucking ass kicked, and in just how deep this shit goes. And it's Cash is Patel is on it as well. He had to write a email, kind of an apologizing, or a tweet or whatever, apologizing that everything will be out today, and they're promising arrests. I can just tell the government, if you got this far in the podcast, God bless you. I would have shut it off and said, Zeph, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? But okay, so here we are toward the end, and I'm saying that what people really want and what they really voted for is they're tired of seeing the bad guys who steal all this money and subjugate their people, and don't build bridges and roads and things that people need, and schools, and squander the money for themselves and their vacation, their mistresses, and their child sex trafficking and all their little perverted pleasures. That they never do time. They never seem to get caught. They deal in drugs. They collaborate with the cartels, and they never get caught. Remember Obama's gun running program down to Mexico. Nobody, there was no prosecution. They've gone so long and no one's been prosecuted. In fact, with Biden, people didn't even get fired. So now people are so weary. They need arrests. They need handcuffs, Pam. Seriously, Cash. They need to see that you guys are serious, that you want to clean it up, and slapping someone on the wrist and saying, don't do that anymore, and firing them from their government job or their shell corporation game they're running is not going to do it. They see through that. Having someone go retire on a private island in the Caribbean, because he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, is not the answer. The answer is handcuffs, adjudication, and all that. Now, I know they plan to fix the juries. I know that they buy DAs, they buy judges. I know, but you got to start somewhere, right? And if the nation wants to straighten up and really believes that God is the Lord of this nation, if that's really true, what you guys prayed in your cabinet meeting, then you need to do your duty. And when people are lawbreakers, if somebody like Fauci comes in and is guilty of gain of function and ends up killing, through that, and 50 million people get dead from those goings on, or from the mRNA jab, which is not a vaccine but a gene therapy that is misused under emergency authorization use, and it kills 20 million people, then someone like who is part of that program, those people need to be arrested and dealt with for mass murder. If they're trafficking children, they're also murdering children for ritual purposes. If where they're murdering children or draining them of blood to get adrenochrome for these elite fucking no good, just pieces of shit that are wandering around feeling superior to everybody, going to all the vampire parties, you need to shut it down. I'll just tell you this: anything that deals with the occult, drugs, sex, trafficking, all that, anything involving all that is all based on Satanism, all of it. And every one of these people that's running it is a Satanist. And the reason they're not in jail is because the DA and all the other people are in part of the cult too. They're all in on it. And so they don't convict their own. So, if we don't see any arrests, Bondi, interesting name, Bondi. You should be able to, you put them in bonds. Your name shows that you're the one to arrest them. and they need to go to supermax prisons and for the rest of their lives, at the very least, or lose their lives. It's well, anyway, that's what people need. Now, today, she says that she's going to release the real nitty-gritty, and arrests will follow. And she's assured, critics of her, that are in Congress, that it's going to happen, and that she's seen the evidence, and that it's worthy of prosecution. That doesn't give me a lot of confidence. It's worthy of prosecution. People will be arrested. Well, whoop-de-fucking do. It has to be. These people are really sick. That doesn't help me either. The laws broken would be the equivalent to mass murder. And those are the consequences. Yes, that would begin to get us down the road to healing. They're mass murderers. They traffic in children. They kill them. They work with the cartels. They have a global drug trade, a global flesh trade. They dominate in California. You can be an underage, you can be a minor, right? And you can star in a porno film with adults, and it's perfectly legal. And Gavin Newsom made sure that happened, because he's got all of Hollywood that he's got to appease. And we all know, the more squeaky clean you look in Hollywood, i.e. something like Disney, the more pedophiles are going to be there per square inch. So the hope they have is that they can legalize pedophilia before the hammer comes down, so that they have to be, their rights have to be protected. But we all know what happens to pedophiles when they get thrown in prison. How long do they last? When they find out you're a pedophile and they've gone to prison for that, you don't last more than about 5 minutes before they just dismember you, before they torture and kill you. And the reason is because they know in prison, that's like street justice on steroids. They know what consequences they've paid by being abused themselves. They know the pain and agony. And in fact, many of them understand they might not have wound up in prison had they not been abused. What I learned from my own abuse was not it happens to everybody, so just go with it. It created psychological blocks and problems. I was, I guess, too sensitive to be betrayed in that way. And so it affected the rest of my life. It certainly destroyed my career, because I was afraid of, I couldn't really leave the house. I couldn't interact. I used to, but this eventually weighed on me to the point where I thought I was such a freak that I shouldn't be exposed to people, because, I just ruin everything I touch, and I should just be dead. And that's how it made me feel. It did the same thing to my daughter, identical. She didn't take to it like, I guess, the people around her thought she should. And then when you ask anybody else about any of this, the way you should do it is, I know you know. Everything I've said is true. But you're going to keep playing your little game like you don't know anything about it. Keep cashing that paycheck and thinking that, it's going to go on into perpetuity. But the thing you forgot is a thing called peace of your soul and of your heart. And you'll never find peace by covering the most glaring crime in the world up, which is the hurting and destruction of children. And that is, unfortunately, what the United States is more involved with than any other country on earth. That is the biggest sin of the United States. Partially because so many people got money now. And when you have money, you can get in all kinds of trouble. But in this country, when you have money, you want to make more money. The only way to make more money is join the club. Join the club, what happens? Blackmail. After blackmail, what happens? Oh, you end up liking it because you're Your mind becomes double-minded. You become a pervert. Then you're just good for nothing. You're good. All you're good for is really target practice. That's about it. And then the whole line of people that you see back in the mental hospital and the jails, the suicides, you caused all that. You made that happen. And you act entitled and privileged like like every penny that you earn is yours. You earned it. No, you got a lot to explain. You got a lot it's kind of like Scrooge, how they have the angels, the various angels show Scrooge, the real truth of his life. You're going to have that moment one day. And anyway, so that is the number one problem. That's what Trump is diving into. That's what Pam Bondi is. She got a glimpse of how powerful this reality is. You're talking about the world system here. You're not talking about, crime in the United States over here or over there. She's still compartmentalizing it. She doesn't know the whole truth. But she will. She will. It's not like it isn't ubiquitous. It's not like it isn't there for all to see all the time. No, Satan just wants to see that you'll keep your mouth shut and play the game of secrecy. And every day that you're secret is a day that you collaborated in killing people. You're as guilty as what you complain about because you keep your mouth shut. And the other problem is the people on the other side of this thing have lots of weapons and lots of assassins and lots of muscle. And so people are afraid. I get that. My thing is, your father should teach you like Solomon, taught his son. He should teach you. Your mothers and fathers should teach you. There's this thing out there, and they're going to ask you to join it. And, it happens to everybody. And, it's, it'd be one thing if that improved life for people, but it doesn't. It's like drinking poison will eventually kill you. It's on that. That's something, analogous to that. If you drink poison every day, you'll eventually die from poison. So that's the thing. If you drink the living water of Jesus every day, you're going to live. Even on your dying day, you're going to feel strong. You're going to live. You're going to ascend. You're going to go. You're going to go and not stop. You're going to learn all the secrets that you yearned to learn that you couldn't because you were in a 3D time-space continuum. But now you're going to have a chance to learn something. A chance to see things we couldn't see before. I like to call it expansion. Expansion is there for those who fear the Lord. The reason it's there, well, the veil is very thin right now. So the revelations about life and the universe, the cosmos, time and space, all those things, they're coming right into our face. It's all becoming open as to why we exist and what our purpose really is, which is not... you have to look at the last 100 years or so and just start laughing. There's really... It's really sad, actually. So with that, I've one more word of encouragement for Pam Bondi and Kat. If they blow it again today, like yesterday they actually had to cover up the error because she looked like such an idiot publishing stuff that's already on the internet. It was so embarrassing. Guys, I don't know what I would do, but she put out a thing, she called it phase 1. To try to get out of this is just phase 1. We have a lot more to try to get out of the fact that she got duped by the FBI. And those people at the FBI that did that to her, those heads need to, no, not fight, reassign to Gitmo or something. They just basically handed over to the Attorney General of the United States bogus shit that you can find on the internet about Epstein's, flight logs, and told her, well, this is all of it. So for a while, a few hours anyway, she thought that was it, and then she was nudged, a little nudge, and said, "Hey, Pam, nothing is here. It's the same as what's on the internet." You're kidding. So what are they going to do now? The FBI might be saying, you come forth, you attack us with anything, we'll come down on you. And so it's on. It's a war. So I hope they do it today. Just get it over with. Let like Ronald Reagan said once, if there has to be a bloodbath, let's get it over with. If there has to be a bloodbath with the FBI and and whatever else is going on. Oh, the other thing is that Bitcoin crashed $1 trillion overnight, and they're trying to use that to bring the economy down, and hurt Trump, by making everybody blaming the whole failed economy on him and inflation and eggs and just getting people to complain and complain and complain. Most all the complaints are lies, and they're not really credible. And I know if you don't like them, the Democrats have no one that can lead, and the Republicans don't either. So, right, I would just drop out of the United States completely. If this Elon Musk, Trump, this dream team of people that are trying to clean up the town, so to speak, should be supported. Now, if it all fails, let me tell you something. That's the ball game. No, you won't hear from me again. Not on this subject. It'll just be where to find shelter, how to die, and keeping your head up, and how to have joy despite the fact that you're going to die soon. I guess that's what we'll be talking about if this fails. And my liberal friends, they don't seem to think anything would happen if you stop Trump and Elon Musk from doing what they do. We would just have this great time. We have a great country. We could be led by Hakeem Jeffries, who's, or some racist, and carry on the Biden program of green energy. At that point you can move. At that point you can move to Costa Rica. At that point you can go to Bali or Thailand, Philippines. Just like drop out, baby, because that would be the real reason to leave. Not because of whoever they put up as a leader, but because of the fact that the force of evil in this world and in this country is too strong, and we can't overcome it. And that's the real. Because as I said, there's nobody that can actually step in. If Trump dies of old age tomorrow, there's no one that can step in. You say, well, J.D. Vance, well, he's just another politician, really. I mean, he doesn't have the force that Trump has on trying to change. It would just drift back to the way it was, and if it drifts back the way it was, eventually this country will cannibalize itself, meaning it will either get into World War III with Russia or start prosecuting and persecuting people, various divisions of people, white or, said something on social media, just start locking people up until they lock up everyone in the country. There is no leadership. Europe is looking for leadership. When you talk about, get a wider perspective here, Europe has got no leadership. They're actually looking at Trump. They hate him on the surface. Oh, that brash, awful, arrogant pig. But they're hoping he'll do something, that they can get a new lease on life. The problem is a lot of them have also been on the take. So it's really tough right now. So just stay prayed up. We love you. I can truly love because, I know what it is to be hated for the truth. And I don't hate them that go with lies. I don't like the results. I don't like the lie itself, but I don't hate them. I work with them. They're friends. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate the witches either. I'm just trying to, in my own way, right the ship. And to do that, we'd have to give up some things. And people don't want to, and I understand, people don't want to give up the status quo. Okay, so that's it. I'm talking, I'm just, I wish I could solve it for you guys. I see the tears falling. I'm crying too. I don't know. Just remember, Alex Jones is the greatest futurist of the last several generations. And he goes, that's not a boast. I don't think he was boasting. I think he really believes that. And I'm glad he does make his predictions, and that the people do listen to him at the State Department and the White House. And all, they listen to him. So we hope he's accurate. I got no beef with him. But when people make statements like that, I would just want to be a voice of caution that you may be the greatest that ever lived. You may be the Muhammad Ali of your field, but that doesn't mean you've got to toot your horn and say that. You know, that's just something that's like tempting the Lord. It's not a good idea. I am the most humble person that there is. I'm humble and I'm loving, and I'm a real Christian, not like all those fake ones. You know, I'm a struggling Christian. I don't think I'm a Christian, actually. I call myself more a God person or a truth person. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Just another routine case. It shouldn't be like any other. I guess we're going to have this dialogue now. Guards, leave us for a minute.
You can't take my peace. You can't take my peace away from me.
That's exactly what has been taken away, your peace.
It's not of this world, not subject to your moods or your rights.
Well, I've heard that from your people over and over again. Dead is still dead.
I'm not of this world, not subject to your failures and your control.
Sedition, that's your crime. That's what you'll pay for.
You won't take my perfect peace. I'm not the one who sold her soul.
It's not about the soul. It's about you being dead in about 20 minutes.
You might take my life, only if it's my time.
It's over. Admit it.
You can't take the peace and love in my heart away.
What are you talking about?
It's not of this world, but
What
you
world?
are of this world.
Damn right I'm of this world. That's right, honey, this world's all you're gonna get.
You are
You're out of line. There is no way that I'm gonna listen to this. You're insane. You're crazy.
Are the blight.
You're a blight. You're a blight, that's why you're being eliminated.
You want to fight,
There is no God.
but it's not me who is your enemy.
If you just shut up, this wouldn't be happening to you.
I don't understand anything. I've been over backwards for her and for her people and people like this. I've been around them my whole life. I understand them, but the law is the law. I have to uphold the law or not. Is it a law or is it not a law? Is it the way we live or is it the way you want chaos? You want everything to be in chaos? There are rules here. I gotta follow the rule. I don't understand why you're on me. Why am I supposed to feel guilty now? What did I do wrong? So what am I supposed to do about this? Let her go?
Stand as proof before all creation
She's willing to die
that I am free.
for what's inside her because I can't be here.
Not
If I have thoughts like that, I can't exist here anymore. Look, I'm sorry. I really don't want to do this. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I just feel lost.